Hey guys, we are here today to discuss about the test index script which has been written by me, and its purpose is to validate the entries in the index on every PR on the container index. So basically, whenever someone wants an entry, they into the index, they modify it and they send a PR, and on every PR this script is supposed to run and then check whether the changes have not altered the index in a way that it does not no more conforms to the format which we require it to be in. So let's get into this. So basically, if we look at basically first off we need to inform that we have moved from the index.yml, a single index.yml, to the index.d. So now there is an index.d which will contain multiple index files and multiple index files inside it, like so. So you have Bamacharam.yml, CentOS.yml, Cluster.yml, and Z1000.yml, so on. And there is a file called index_template, which is basically what is the format we expect the individual files to be in. So we have an ID, which should be a number, and then should be unique. Then there was a app ID, which will be the container namespace. So OpenShift/origin, OpenShift will be the container namespace. And this namespace actually has to match with the file name. So whatever is the namespace here, that has to be same as here. And then we have the git URL, the git branch from where we can, the git path from where we can pick up your stuff. And then there is the file, target file with all the stuff, all these data which needs to be validated. Apart from that, there's also ccp.yml. In this we are going to just focus on these values, as the others are not currently being used. So the validation also has to happen on these keys as well. And yes, this is required, so that when the pipeline starts processing the information, they don't have to worry about failing out because one of the index files was not in the correct format. So let's try to run the script and see what happens. So for the purpose of this script, I have index.d with only a few index files. I have cut out a couple of YAML files which could result in a long download times, which is not something we need in a demo. So we have Bamacharam.yml, Cluster.yml, the template itself, which will not be processed by the test index script, and the SO.yml. So this is what the script, the file looks like. So let's go ahead and run the script on this. So we have it's a Python script, so you do Python, and then you need to give it the path of the index.d. So I have a custom location, so that's why I'm specifying this parameter for -I, which lets you specify the path of the index.d location. So when I do this, it starts validating the stuff. So let's wait for this to finish. So fast forwarding, the script has completed execution, and you can see that it is giving some output. The most important part here is of course the summary, which gives a by file by entry validation. So it goes into every file, it picks up every entry, it runs some checks against that. We'll look into that, and if all checks pass, it gives an OK. In case there's a failure, this OK will become no, and you'll have a list of error messages which can be linked directly to the entry above it. So if I see a list of errors here, it will be the problem which is in the entry. So let's go ahead and try that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to purposefully introduce an error into one of these files. Let's say bamachildren.yml, and I make it so this is invalid git URL, right? So let's go ahead and run the test script again. So let's wait for the execution to finish. Alright, fast forwarded, we have our execution which is completed. So let's look at our summary. You can see all the entries are which we added alter are fine, but yeah. So in the bamachildren file, I changed the git path to github 1.1. So I said github1.com, which is something that does not exist. So the git URL validation failed. Because of that, the value became a no, and then you can see error message here: could not clone specified git URL or could not find specified branch. And based on this, we have a non-zero exit code right here. So this is for the purpose of Jenkins, so that a non-zero exit code can actually make Jenkins decide that the script has failed. So then let's get into this. So what are the checks that are being done? So this is basically the validation script which handles all the validation paths. So we have the index. Basically there are two validators. One is the index format validator, and the second one is the index projects validator. Basically this is a two-pass system. In the first pass, it validates the formatting of the index.yml, the index files, and in the second step it actually goes ahead and validates the actual value specified, and it also validates the ccp.yml as well. So it has checks like checking if the IDE is present, the app ID field is present, job ID field is present, all the fields, basically checking all the fields are present or not. And it also does stuff like uniqueness validation. So if we check here, it is actually alright. Coming to the second phase, which is the project validator. This is the one which actually validates the values present inside them. The purpose of this separation is that once the first pass is done, I know that I can expect a notify email. I know that I have a git branch. I know I have a git path. The values are there in the file. So now when the second pass starts and I check the values, I don't have to worry about again checking whether the values exist or not. And also, so in this case, the first check that this guy does is the git URL, git path, and git branch. And the way it checks that is that it actually goes ahead and tries to clone it. So it attempts to clone the git repo, and it actually tries to check out the branch as well. So if it is able to do all this successfully, then it knows that the git URL specified is correct and its git branch specified is correct as well. And apart from that, it also checks the git path validation as well. So the git path is basically the relative path from the git in the git repo where the ccp YML is expected to be present. So this path needs to be valid. So we check whether that actually the path exists or not. If that path exists, then yeah, we can go ahead with the next steps, where we actually check if the ccp YML itself is present. So this is basically the container pipeline expects a ccp.y star ML format. So it can be a .ccp YML, or it can be ccp YML, or it can be a .ccp YML or ccp-YML. Any of these formats are acceptable. But in this script we are going to cut it down to only four acceptable names. So we check whether this path exists. So if this path is fine, only then we go ahead with the SOS check. So to do primary check, basically we need to make sure that the git path is correct, and we need to make sure that the ccp is correct before we actually go ahead and check this whole stuff. So It also it does check whether the specified target file is present. So the target file is the file which specifies the build, so that it can be a Docker file in this case. So that file must exist in the get path. So that's the check that this guy does. And then we actually do have a CCTV YAML validation. So basically it is going to check the job ID, the test skip flag, the test script flag, and the build script flag, and the build script. So basically it checks whether the job ID is present. It checks if the test script is present, and if it is present, it checks whether it is a flag, basically a true or a false value. Anything other than that, it rejects it. And then we have the test script. It checks whether the test script is present in the repo, and it also checks whether the specified build script is present in the repo. And of course you already saw the result of that. So if you go into it is created a dump directory called CCP index test here. So if I get into that, you will see index.d. So this is basically the test bench, what I keep referring inside as test bench. Basically it has copied over the files to this place so that any modifications that need to be done can be done without affecting the originals. So here of course you can see a modification. Obviously the template file is not a proper YAML file as such, because it needs to have something like this and then have this, which it does, which that file doesn't. So it appends that so that the Python YAML loader can actually read the content, and that's the same for all the files. And then this is where it dumps the repos. So I said that it actually goes ahead and clones the Git repos and for doing the validation. So you can see that it is actually created folders with that name. The purpose of this is so that it does not, if there are multiple entries with the same Git URL, it does not have to clone the same thing again and again. So there are 10 entries, which there are 10 Docker files in the same Git repo, and it doesn't have to clone the Git repo 10 times, because every time it checks whether this path is present. If it's not, only then it tries to clone it, otherwise it checks for updates. So yeah, the purpose of the again, like I already said, the purpose of this script is to ensure that the script, the changes done to the index are always valid, so that the CCP, the container pipelines, does not fail out. Yeah, so that's it from me. Thank you.